In our previous video, we examined the barriers to talent entry in soccer, how economics, access, and early system constraints shape who's even allowed to participate long enough to be evaluated. But entering the system does not guarantee development. Today we move one step downstream to examine what happens after players gain access, specifically how talent identification works and why it remains a probabilistic process rather than a determinant of long-term success. Barriers to entry narrow the player pool early. Talent identification then operates within that already constrained population. This is an important distinction because identification is often treated as objective and definitive, when in reality is an attempt to predict future performance under uncertainty. This model captures what talent identification actually represents. At the top is talent, a broad and poorly defined concept. Identification occurs within what we call temporal effects, a short window where coaches and clubs interpret performance signals that are heavily influenced by maturation, context, and opportunity. Within this temporal window, identification relies on two primary inputs: coaching intuition and objective performance measures. Coaching intuition matters. Experienced coaches recognize tactical awareness, decision-making, and game intelligence. Objective measures add structure and consistency, but neither reveals truth. At the center of the model is an uncomfortable question: truth. At the identification stage, what we actually produce is a probability for performance, not certainty. This probability is shaped by timing, biological maturation, and the environment, not just ability. Below the temporal window, we encounter what most systems struggle to capture: chronic effects, chronic adaptation to training environments, competition exposure, psychological development, and learning that unfolds over years. This is why long-term soccer performance and achievement cannot be cleanly inferred from early identification. When identification is treated as a verdict rather than a hypothesis, systems narrow too early. Players are filtered out not because potential disappears, but because opportunity does. This compounds the barriers we discussed in the previous video. Within Strike's applied sports science framework, identification is not a destination. It is a probabilistic estimate that must be tested over time through exposure, development, and system alignment. Identification predicts, development determines. Barriers to entry shape who gets into the system. Identification shapes who is prioritized once inside. Neither determines long-term success on its own. Talent outcomes are system outcomes, and systems must be designed to respect uncertainty.